Are we rolling?
You know we are, bro.
Let's go, Sergio
You already know it.
Vega.
I was catching you warming up.
You're gonna catch me say some shit that'll
Yeah, no, this is the warm up, dude. Come on.
land me in incarcerated. Is what you're gonna do.
You can post whatever you want, man.
Yeah, no, I got some good stuff.
Okay, cool.
I got some good stuff planned.
Well, let's chop it up first for a bit. Warm it up
Cool.
with the music on.
I like it. What do you
Just
got?
to talk.
What do you got? What do you got going on?
Shoot, man. In October, I'm taking like pretty much the whole month off in October.
No shit. Good for you. What are you gonna do?
Well, 2 weeks in Mexico,
Sweet. ¿Qué parte?
1 week in Florida, and then 1 week here in town.
Cool. ¿Qué parte de México?
Mexico, we're gonna go to I don't even remember right now. Michoacán
Okay.
and not Puebla, Yucatan.
Visitando familia?
My girlfriend's family.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna stay at their houses. Like, she has family all over Mexico. I think so do I. But we're gonna visit her family this time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Michoacan's pretty.
Oh yeah. But yeah, dude. And also we had a meetup, like a rookie wholesaler meetup.
Was that the one you and Vlad were doing?
We're about to do it.
Oh, okay.
So no, I've been hosting one, like a monthly one, and I just had my second meetup. It was last week.
I know that was the one I wanted to come to. I was just out of town.
It was pretty sick, dude. It was
How was the turnout?
The room was full. Every single seat was taken.
No shit. Was it like 30, 40 people?
Yeah, like 30, 40
Sweet.
people. Yeah, like 35. Not exactly hard. I didn't count the people, but it was around there.
I mean, a full room's a full room. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was cool. And I just booked another venue. I booked it this time at the library.
Mm-hmm.
And that one has a 300-person capacity.
Whoa.
I don't think we're going to fill not even close to that. But still, if we get 50, just like a uptick, a 20% uptick, 30% uptick from last time,
Hell yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Let me know when you drop the promotion. I'd love to help you promote it.
It's already dropped, dude.
Is it?
It's the one with Vlad, yeah.
Okay. It is the one with Vlad. Okay, cool. And because I marked it, I saw you drop the thing and I put it on my calendar immediately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
I got to come out and support you, bro.
That's the one, dude. Yeah, it's going to be at the library, and it's going to be, dude, it's going to be cool, man. I invited a title company to go, having Vlad speak, and that's it, man. I mean.
Nice. What's his point of topic? Is it just
Sales? Yeah. So I was thinking about doing like.
And do you know him from like the Pineda Army?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I know him. I think I met him like a little bit before that. No, I met him actually right when he joined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We had a deal with him. Well, it wasn't with him. It was, we had it in contract, and then, they went out and shopped it around, put it in contract with them. We had already recorded, but we figured it out. We ended up chopping it up, making it work. Everybody, got a piece. We got paid. It's one of those frustrating things with sellers. It's like, explain it to them. It's like, if you can't just run around and willy-nilly sign contracts with everybody else. Like, you're going to get less money. You're hurting yourself by doing that.
Did you have to talk with the seller that time, or who talked with the seller that time?
We ended up working it out between the two wholesale companies. We ended up working out with Vlad.
Really?
Yeah. And then just, chopping it up and just getting it done.
He's that kind of guy. He'll just get it done.
Yeah. It took us a minute to come to an agreement, but we figured it out.
For sure. And
I sold it. Everyone got paid. Everyone got paid less, including the seller. So it was silly on all accounts, but that happens. I mean, it's a small town, and I think like it's kind of like a rookie move to flex on other wholesale companies, because it's like, it's a small town. We all know the game. We all know that, unfortunately, sometimes sellers lie. It's whether it's hard times, drug addiction, low affluency, whatever it is. They go out and sometimes they shop it around. And then, when you've been in business long enough in the Valley, it's like, everybody. So just call them, just figure it out.
Interesting. Yeah, it's gonna have Vlad at the event, and he's gonna give like a 20-minute spiel on sales and tactics, sales tactics.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna do my little spiel on your first 30 days.
Nice, dude.
Pretty much like how to launch marketing the first 30 days, like what that looks like. That's what I've been doing for the first meetup and the second meetup. It's like the most requested one.
Is that because it's like catered to the beginners, kind of like, because
yeah, it's catered to be like where to get data, how to skip trace it, how to hire the VA, how to pay them.
kind of all that
Just
stuff
like,
that the OKC guys were asking me when they came out to the event. They were asking me all this like acquisitionist stuff, and I was like, guys, I'm just the dispo person. I'm just the one that sells the deals.
Yeah.
I don't do the marketing at all.
right.
So for people like that, it's better to talk to you or someone that's an operator, or like some of the guys at my event. Like Kostika's a good guy to talk to. He does his own marketing. He can talk PPC and all this stuff. I did that, and I got a deal, and that was my first rental, but I'm not the best at it. And I know that. Like, I'm very good at business to business sales, building relationships, selling the deal, carrying deals to the finish line, but I'm not the marketing guy.
What about like so you're like the dispo guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to speak about dispo at my event one of these days?
Hell yeah, I would love to.
So you're the dispo guy.
I would love, and I can also speak to some of the belly to belly acquisitions, because I do like if the team has somebody at the 1 yard line, and we need a wet signature, or they're elderly, or they don't have a computer, or they just like really need to have a face-to-face conversation in order to move forward with a signature. We'll get them on the phone and we'll do what's called a pressure test. So I basically ask them the same 5 questions that the acquisitions team has already set up, so that we're in agreement on price. We're in agreement. We're basically in agreement on everything. But hearing it from another person, ask it the same way or different way, you might get a different response. So we call that the pressure test. Usually goes pretty well because the guys know how to, manage those expectations on the front end. And then they'll send me over to, hard close or get that wet signature, or overcome some of the objections and stuff like that. But that's not mainly my job. I just do that because I need to help the acquisitions department, because I need to have deals to sell.
Right.
So it's more like teamwork makes the dream work versus, that's like my role.
Yeah.
And like small business owner, small company, it's like you wear multiple hats. It just is what it is. Whatever you got to do to get the deal done, whatever you got to do to get inventory, whatever you got to do to get it across the finish line, even if you have to chop it up with somebody or split it or make some concessions or whatever. It's like, I think a lot of people in this game, when they first get into wholesaling, they get, it's not greed. It's like excitement. You know what I mean? Where they want that 20 or they want that 30, and they'll end up stepping on their own tail, and get nothing. You know what I mean? Like 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
Right.
So I always just look for when I look at deals, man, I'm like, there's a fucking win-win in here somewhere. Like, I just got to find it, and ask the right questions and find out what the problem is, and then try to be creative to solve that problem. Whether it's like a holdback, or whether it's cash for keys, or whether, my buyer is sketched out because the seller has too much stuff in their house and they want like an estoppel sign that they're guaranteed to be out by a certain date, or whatever it is, I can't tell you how many estoppels I had to go get signed, especially during the whole Chaps COVID thing. And basically, for those who don't know, estoppel is basically, it's like a similar, like a promissory note. It's like saying, I acknowledge the fact that I'm supposed to be out by this date. I promise to be out by this date. And what it does is, if you were to have to evict, especially during COVID, when there was all these like restrictions on not being able to evict people, it makes it easier because they've acknowledged and signed, and also, they've received some sort of compensation. So I did a lot of those in Spanish.
Interesting.
A lot of Latino landlords that helped somebody along the way, give them a discount, family member, this, that, the other thing. And then they just stopped paying. And then because of all the stuff with COVID, they just kept not paying for like a while. And then we would get in there and fix the problem for them.
Interesting. That sounds like stuff that I want to get into myself.
Yeah.
The wholesale side. Yeah. We just started an SMS campaign, and we got our first lead yesterday. No one's followed up on it. But all I've really
SMS
done
lead to acquire what?
yeah, just to wholesale it or to buy it ourselves. I never really done that. I've bought all
When
my
you
deals
say your
from
first
wholesalers.
SMS lead, you mean you just sent out a text of a deal that you're trying to wholesale?
No, not even. No, we're marketing direct to seller now.
Oh, got it.
Acquisitions wise.
You were doing on MLS stuff. Most of your stuff was sourced on the MLS?
No, most of my deals are from wholesalers.
Oh, okay. Got it. So now you're actually doing the direct to seller marketing, distressed sellers.
I've never done it.
Gotcha.
Believe it or not.
And for those who don't know, it's like you're looking for multiple lines of distress. So it's like back on taxes, divorce, some sort of foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, some sort of lien encumbrance, the city's doing stuff, trash liens, mechanics liens. You're looking for multiple lines of distress, someone that has to sell, has a problem that they need to fix, whether there's a tenant they can't get out or whatever it is. And then they don't have the ability to sell in a traditional fashion. So a lot of people think that we're getting in there and just like taking advantage of people's situations. And it's like, no. I'm the one going to these properties. I'm going to tell you, these folks would not be able to sell if we didn't get in there and help them. Now, are we turning a profit for that? Of course. That's business. That's capitalism. You know what I mean? Like, there's loads of people on my team that have like families and kids to provide for. Like, we work for money. I mean, it's part of business. But, I like to think that we provide them with a quality service and that we're able to execute 99% of the time on what we promise. Where the variable pops is when they're not honest with us. Like, I always tell people, if you just be honest with me, I can help you fix this problem. If the story keeps changing or you keep moving the marker on us, then I can't help you, and then I can't help you if you don't tell me the truth. Tell me what the problem is. I can help you fix it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm like, I've heard these kinds of stories from wholesalers, like often, like, and I've been in investing for like 4, maybe 5 years now, like at least learning and doing it. And I've heard so so many stories that I feel like I've done it, but in reality, I've never done it. And even though I have had successes with what I'm doing, like when I think about wholesale, like, dude, I'm a straight like newbie, 0 deals from the beginning, like.
So
no experience. Like, I'm scared to call this guy. That one lead that we got. I'm like scared to call him, and it's weird because, but that's how I feel.
You're scared to call that lead?
Yeah.
You should be looking at that lead like that's a $2,000 price tag. I better execute or whatever whatever your cost per lead KPI is. But you look at it, if you want to reframe it, look at it this way. That's somebody that you could help. Plain and simple. You know what I mean? It's not about you, essentially. It's about trying to provide a service in the marketplace and trying to provide value and have an exchange of value, right? So if they're, it's incumbent upon us to get in front of people and try to help them. You know what I mean? And if you ever get to the point where you go to sell those deals and you want to go over the dispo process, we can talk about it. You can hand them to me and I can use my relationships and I can dispo them out for some sort of a JV split.
That's fine.
And then, because what a lot of people don't realize in wholesaling is that dispo is its own position. Most people aren't able to get their company to a point where it's scaled enough where they can really focus on dispositions, because acquisitions is so up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. It's like a lot of people ask me, they're like, when are you going to start your company and go out and compete? I was like, never. The amount of like marketing and ad spend and this and that, like, you need to really know those things, and you're going to spend a lot of money making mistakes. And so I jokingly say, like, I'm the, I'm the Dennis Rodman of the Chicago Bulls. Like, I play a role, like that dude realized that it's his job to get the ball when it doesn't go in and give it to the people who score. And that was it. That was his job. And my job is just make sure that when we get the deal, I have all the information to market it as good as possible. And I get that deal out in front of as many people as possible. And then I continue to forage these relationships with end buyers that I know they can perform, that are going to satiate the deadline that we have, so we can make good on the promise we made to our, to the people selling to us, and then just be able to execute and get that to the finish line. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you'd be surprised. You can't just like assign something and it just goes through. Like, you got to massage that thing all the way to the finish line. Some deals are easier than others.
That sounds like something I don't want to do.
You'd be better
I'll be
off.
honest with you.
You'd be better off giving it to me, coming
Which
up
I
with some
probably
sort of
will.
a generous split. Because the reality is also this: if you give the deal to me, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I'm gonna sell it for 10 to 15 more than you, just because that's all I do all day. It's just like if I hire my plumber to come in and do plumbing, he's gonna be able to do the plumbing in a third the time that it would take me, because that's all he does all day.
No, I'm sure that you could do a way better job than me, man. I have no doubt about that. I mean,
But here's what's interesting. The reason wholesaling is good for you is because it provides you with quick liquidity, which, like you were talking on one of the last podcasts, like all your flipper friends are always broke. They're always looking for money, you're either looking for money or looking for a deal. You know, looking for money, looking for a deal. But what wholesaling allows you to do is, if there's a good enough spread on it, it's like, boom, do a 20, 30K pop, and that goes right back into your cost of doing business. So, you know, what I tell people is that it's a tool in the toolbox. Now, what you don't want to do is get a reputation of only wholesaling the ones that are dogs that you don't want to flip yourself, because people will see that. You know what I mean? They'll be like,
but why is that? People buy dogs every day.
I'm just saying that the perspective of the buyer, like, okay, you buy from wholesalers.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm a wholesaler, but I also flip. And you see me wholesaling a deal. Your immediate thought is, why is he wholesaling this?
A lot of wholesalers do that. They wholesale and flip, and then they only wholesale the stuff they don't want.
But I'm just saying, like,
and most of the deals don't look nice at all.
but I'm saying, like, it's actually good. If you have something you can make 40K on an assignment, and you have a bunch of projects, make the 40K on the assignment. Wholesale it. Couldn't you take it down and make an extra 20 or 30? Sure, you could, but you could also use that liquidity to provide quantitative easing, like the famous word for 2023, within your own small business. Cash is king, dude. If you have money coming in, what would an extra 30K in your business account do right now?
Not much.
It wouldn't do much. It wouldn't make anything easier. It wouldn't give you more money to market. It wouldn't give you more money to scale. It wouldn't allow you to hire another VA.
I mean, 30K, that wouldn't do too much.
I'm just saying, like, right now, if you got a deal and you could make a 30K pop
I would do it. No,
today,
I would do it.
or you could wait and do the flip and take 2 months of your time and make 50, what would you do?
It depends how much cash I have in the bank. If I'm running low on my threshold,
Exactly.
then I'm gonna wholesale it. If I have enough money, in my threshold to do it, I'm gonna flip it because I'm gonna want the bigger spread on it.
Exactly. But to my point is that if you need some liquidity and it's a decent enough wholesale,
Yeah,
it's a great tool in the toolbox.
that makes sense.
You know what I mean? And it solves the problem that you were bringing up in the earlier podcast, which is like always looking for money, always looking for a deal. The goal is to get to where you have a surplus of deals and a surplus of money, and you can pick and choose what you want to do when you want to do it. You know?
That's the ideal. I agree with you, and I think also, like you said, like the speed at which these wholesales can turn over, that's kind of like one of the huge benefits. You know, these flips that we're sitting on, 4 months, 5 months, sometimes 6 months. It just depends.
Yeah, and like to Dino's earlier point on the last pod, he's buying all cash. So it's like my transactions right now, most of my buyers, I'm not even letting them use hard money in Vegas because so many people are sitting on cash. Why would I wait 2 weeks to get a deal done when I could get it done on Friday?
Right.
So I'm just saying it's a nice little tool in the toolbox. And if you throw it to someone like me and I can make 10 or 15 a little bit more than you, I can essentially help you dispo the deal, and I will make enough of a increase in the sale that it will literally cover me. It's like hiring a good tax person. They literally pay for themselves. I did not know this till I hired one, and I was like, wait, so I just paid you, whatever it was, $3,000 for bookkeeping for the year, plus another, 1 to 2 so I paid you $5,000, and you just saved me $15,000. That's a no-brainer.
No brainer. I agree. Dang, dude. You want to hop into some of the topics that you wanted to talk about now that we're all warmed up?
Yeah, I got a good one.
Let's do it.
It's interesting. So my best acquisitionist, Cameron, who's now coming over and doing, he's come to the dark side.
Okay.
And he's dispoing deals because of the amount of deals in the pipeline between Vegas and Oklahoma City. And he has a complete, are you big on the DISC behavioral index? Yeah. So most people in our industry are, because it's freaking awesome. And it answers because it works, dude. Mm-hmm. And it answers a lot of like key questions, both in why people have hard time in certain roles and what the personality profile, because if you identify the personality profile of that role and then you identify the personality of the person, then you can put like the square peg into the square hole.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which is sometimes companies have a hard time, they have good people, they just have them in the wrong seats. So anyways, on the disc, people think I'm a maverick. I'm actually a captain, which means I need a little bit of guidance. I need a little bit of I say if I'm bowling, I need the bumper plates out. That's the amount of guidance that I need.
That's fair.
Whereas a maverick is just full entrepreneur. There's no chance in hell they could be anything else.
Right.
So that makes me a good number 2, number 3. But anyway, so he scores in, I don't know what it was. It was like a school teacher. And although I was a school teacher, I score more like an entrepreneur or a salesperson.
Right.
So he doesn't necessarily fit the exact character profile of a salesperson, but, ex-NFL player, phenomenal athlete, hard worker, great attitude. And he's able to just present himself in the let me help you type sale. He's not a hard closer. He'll talk to people twice as long as most people. But anyways, he came over to Dispo and we were talking. I had a call audit where I got a little when we have new buyers come in, I'm trying to train them on the way that we do things. And in this business, when you have people who have a lot of success and a lot of money and they hear the word no, they start to unravel. I don't know if you've had this happen in this business. Maybe not because you mainly flip, but it's interesting when you see people who they're used to getting their way in business because they have a lot of money and success. And they come to someone like me and I have the leverage of the deal. And I'm like, look, this is how we like to do things. And we need to, you need to get on our program at least a little bit in order for us to do business. Because if not, I've got 5 other people I'd be happy to sell this deal to. So I have to present that in a way that's not offensive. But, when I get type A drivers that want to push and I'm a type A driver and I push back, there's conflict. You know what I mean? And so it was just really cool. He was relating it to martial arts because he knows that's my thing. And he was like, so in jiu-jitsu, you're essentially taking the momentum of the opponent and using it against them, correct? And technically that's judo. But yeah, the answer is yes. You're using the momentum of the opponent in order to put them in a compromised situation so that you can get the better of the arrangement, right? Or the engagement, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. And he was like, he's like, I just figured that this job is that exact same thing. So if I can verbally use my jiu-jitsu to maneuver your momentum into the direction that I want, why would I put up a wall and block you, essentially? And I was like, first of all, I see what you did there. You picked an analogy about something that I like so that it would land. So first of all, good job. Kudos to you on that. And second of all, you're right. But what it is it's and we talked about this last time. It's me not allowing my ego to come up in the conversation or to I can feel when I'm combative in a conversation, my heart rate elevates. You know what I mean? So step 1, take a deep breath. And step 2, think about what it is that I want to achieve in this conversation and how I can best use the momentum of the person that I'm conversing with to get them in the direction that I want them to go. Sometimes when people are laying the demands on me, I'll get short. That's one of my character defects. I'll get short with people. I just they're yeah, so I normally do this and this and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work for us. So I got to find a softer way to present, those details. But I basically was like, told my boss, I was like, yo, you need to audit this call because I botched it. But teachable moments for one of the guys on my team, I don't mind being, like we learned this in boxing, we learned this in business. I don't mind being, the crash test dummy or the sparring partner and letting my mistakes be a learning opportunity for the rest of the people on my team. Like that's an opportunity for everyone to get better. So I just was like, I literally brought it up. Hey, you probably want to audit this call. I know I did this, this, and this. So, you know what I mean? But if there's anything that I missed, a better way to navigate that. But it was just cool because, although he's not seasoned in my position, he's very seasoned in his ability to communicate in an effective fashion.
Nice. And so you think his disc profile allows him to be better at dispo or be better at acquisitions, or kind of just like a mix overall?
I think he's got one of those unique personalities where his disc profile, his work ethic supersedes his disc profile, but then puts him in a position where, because he's got a little bit more of an agreeable personality, and because when he communicates, his ego and pride never get involved, it actually allows him to be more empathetic and easier to deal with. That's
cool, man. And you know what? One other thing that pops into mind is like, I've always wondered what happens to ex NFL athletes.
For sure.
I'm like, where do they go?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Right.
Like knowing that they're in the real estate game and doing stuff like that. I mean, that's cool to know. I mean, I don't think I've ever met one.
Mm-hmm. So, and he's an anomaly, dude. I mean, I thought that guy was like Mormon the first time I met him. Because I don't drink, but I don't drink because I'm in recovery. And he never drank, never done this, never done that, married the first girl he talked to, played in the NFL, moved back to this little town, and what most people don't realize about professional athletes is most of them are journeymen. Like, they're a human punching bag, whether it's MMA or NFL or whatever it is. Not a lot of them make good money. And the ones that do understand they're either phenomenal athletes or they understand how to market themselves. And they understand that their athleticism is a business. And so, but he was just one of these guys. It was like, yeah, I'm not the most athletic dude, but I'll just continue to work. And what I noticed with him, the biggest one is like his discipline is like nothing I've ever seen. And I like being around highly disciplined people, because it inspires me to evaluate my own structure of how I run my life. And I go, oh, I could be more disciplined here. Oh, I could be more disciplined there. And that's one of the things that I notice with people like, and I got this my whole life being like someone who doesn't drink. It's like I'm holding up a mirror in front of somebody that they're drinking, which is not my intention. It's just doesn't agree with me. You do whatever makes you happy. But it actually makes people feel uncomfortable. Because it's like it's like low key calling them out. You know what I mean? But I'm the opposite. I want to be around like killers and positive minded people that are like encourage me to get up in 5 a.m, encourage me to do workouts, encourage me to do the ice bath stuff, encourage me to have like rad hobbies like jumping out of airplanes and diving and surfing and doing all this cool stuff, and have and grind. Like work. I don't think the work-life balance exists, but I do know that I need to work hard and play harder. But I also want to be around people that inspire me to do that, and I think it starts with discipline for me.
Interesting. You said a lot there, man. First thing that comes to mind is I forgot who said it, it was probably Ed Milet or something. I have no idea. Some famous dude on YouTube. They said that they don't like the work hard, play hard. They like the work hard, play always.
I say work hard, play harder.
Play harder.
Yeah.
Or
work hard and then play with the awesome toys that you now have because you've been working. Because you can, trust me, I backpacked all over the world, gallivant. I played very hard. And I worked, but I know now when I do play, I know I deserved it and I enjoy it more because I did the work.
So talking about enjoyment, like what's like the most like satisfying thing you've accomplished so far? Like I would say, maybe not even in business, but like in your life in general, that you felt like the most like accomplished.
In terms of like accomplishments or over, because my mind typically goes
Like a sense
over,
of feeling like wow, like
my mind
you know
goes
those moments in time when you're like, dang, this is like crazy, like that. I accomplished this. Like I'll give you an example. Like the day I graduated college was like huge for me.
okay.
Like I never saw myself going to college. My family didn't go to college, anything like that. So when I graduated, I just felt like so accomplished, even though I didn't even enjoy it. It was a very difficult situation for me. I didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't.
You're like, actually, I hated it.
No, I
It
did.
sucked ass.
I did, man. I love my friends that were there, but it was just not. It was difficult, and I don't think it was like just not what I should have been doing or not what I wanted to do. But anyways, it was still like a very like I just felt like a huge sense of accomplishment for me and my family, and also just to be done with that era in my life. And man,
It felt like that next stepping stone, that tier, like you hit that. Yeah. For me, it would be.
I haven't felt like that in a long time.
Would be there's a. I mean, I'm a little older than you, just a little bit. 39. How old are you?
33.
Yeah, so just a little bit older than you. So it would be obviously graduating from my undergrad because I went to college for 6 years. Because I was like living in Mexico for 2 years and, getting like all these minors and stuff like that, and graduating undergrad. The biggest one was having a back surgery and being able to come out of that experience and get over the victimhood mentality because that was brutal.
So when was the point in time that you were like, I'm over this victimhood mentality? When was that point in time? Like, was there like a certain
I'll tell you
day, or was it?
No, I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was I was out on my back for 2 years. I was immobile for 2 years. A year prior to surgery, and then the year recovering from surgery was brutal. Disc fusion, L5S1. I'm a tall guy. I had some biomechanics issues. Surfing, basically being a knucklehead, not listening to my body and treating it like a rented car. And so I got what I got on that one. But, being laid up on my back for someone like me who's super ADD and like high, like I got to be doing something. And I need to be like, physical exercise is big for me. It's one of the things that quiets my mind. So not being able to do that was horrific. What it forced me to do is it forced me to read more. And because I was so bored out of my mind, I took up photography. I came out of that experience a professional photographer because I had spent all this time studying lighting and this and that. I was like, I couldn't watch any more movies. I had to like do something productive. So I've always been in like bands and I was interested about photography. So I got, I went full into it. But to answer your question, the pivotal point where I mentally had that sense of I am overcoming this was by 30, I had paid off all my medical debt. My grandmother had passed. I got a little bit of inheritance money. I paid off my college debt. I sold everything I owned, and I got my life down to 3 bags: a dive bag, a photo bag, and a clothing bag. And in the clothing bag was like 70% of my underwater housing. So I was like, I had like 3 outfits basically: spear gun, camera, 2 cameras, 2 lenses, and an underwater housing that was meant for surfing. It was like heavy and super buoyant, but that's what I had. So I put that in a backpack. I sold my car for $2,200. I bought a one-way ticket to the Philippines on Korean Air, and I paid for first class because at this point in time, I wasn't sure that I was still in a lot of back pain. But I realized that in order to get over that mental hurdle, I needed to act as if I'm healed. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to be healed first and then act, but I had to act as if I was healed and then just do whatever I had to do to accommodate essentially what was basically like a disability, and just do what I could do. and just be okay with that and be like, not be a dick to myself, basically. And so I booked that one-way ticket to the Philippines. I got my life down to 3 bags. And then the journey began, dude. It was, I had like 10 grand in the bank. I was shooting for a stock photo company at the time. I'd make about $1,000 a month. So, let's say I made 10 or 15 over the time that I was in Asia, so like I lived off 25 for like 2 years.
Damn.
And just made it work. But I had to just do it, It's like we talked about last time. I can't think my way into right action. I have to act my way into right
So
thinking.
you said you went to the Philippines. That's where you were for 2 years in the Philippines?
I was in the Philippines for 7 months, competing in freediving, spearfishing, and focusing on underwater photography because I was sick of shooting weddings and events at that time. And I really wanted to dive into my freediving. I did 190 feet in competition, free dive on a single breath of air.
Damn.
I did, I've done a 5.5 minute static breath hold, but I did a 4.5 minute static breath hold, basically face down in the pool. I did 4.5 minutes in competition, and then I did an 80 meter dynamic swim. And dude, I just trained freediving every day. I was really focused on breath work. One of the things that had happened with the back surgery, I was a diehard surfer, and not being able to surf for me was devastating. But I looked at it with that thing like, okay, I can't do that. What can I do? And I was like, I had seen freediving when I was traveling in the Bahamas, and I knew about breath hold diving. I just never like accumulated all the gear and got into it. And so I figured, okay, I can't surf, but I could swim around and on a snorkel and learn how to do this freediving thing, and I'll at least be in the ocean. And then that propelled me, and I just became obsessed.
So 190 feet.
Yeah.
That sounds like almost impossible.
190 feet feels like 3 grown men are sitting on your chest because you're at like 5 and 6 atmospheric pressure at that point. It's very hard to keep the air in your mouth that you need to equalize your ears because the atmospheric pressure is pushing it out of your mouth and back into your lungs. So that's stress. And then your mind is telling you you're going to die, and it's like attacking you. You're going to die. You're going to die. You're going to die. And you're literally having contractions, and you're just like, no, I'm not going to die. I just need to relax. And you just focus on your training, because at that point you've worked, you've been training up into a certain point to make that attempt. And then you just say, just relax, just, rely on my training, and then execute. It's all in relaxation, really. People think it's like, same with skydiving. They think it's like, oh, that must be such a rush. Yes, it is at first, but as you become proficient in it, you realize the more you can connect with your breath, the more that you can relax, the more that you can decrease your heart rate, the more clear, calculated decisions you can make, the more you can do without getting hurt. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Dang, dude, that was really cool. Like listening to you talk about that, I could tell like you're super near, and like when you're explaining like the breath hold at 190 feet, I could tell like it was like a raw experience, and like you like when you were explaining it, I feel like you were like reliving it.
Oh, 100%. I can because, and this is probably, it's funny, I had this conversation, was across the street the other day with Tyson De La Cruz, checking out his treatment facility that he just did across the street. And we were talking about freediving and breath hold and all that stuff. And what I was mentioning to him was the positive flow state activities provide me with an opportunity to execute on positive visualization. And physical flow state activities for me are easier. And there's actually a lot of science. Like, I'm a huge Andrew Huberman guy, and there's a lot of science coming out now that's telling people or educating us that, and we're seeing this with like Wim Hof and other people in this field, that breath work, learning how to breathe properly, hyperventilation and breath retention, holding your breath, has more benefit than meditation. And I feel this way.
Why is that?
Because what it's doing is it's oxidizing your body. So it's causing you to be alkaline. When you do breath holds, you engage what's called the mammalian dive reflex, which is basically your body understands that your breath is being held. Therefore, it's going to limit the amount of blood flow to your extremities. It's going to decrease your heart rate, and it's going to essentially self-preserve. But the decreasing in heart rate, what that does is it has tremendous like health benefits in terms of like anxiety and depression and the ability to execute under pressure. So I think all these things, and I study people like, dude, I don't really watch movies much anymore, but I watched The Last Dance, which is the Michael Jordan documentary, just to see his mental fortitude. Like I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want it in my brain all the time because I want that little bit to come out in myself. And one of the things that I've seen with someone like Conor McGregor is another good example. When he talks about the positive visualization in order to execute, for me, in order to do that, I am not a sit in a lotus position, freaking quietly meditate guy. I've tried that. I suck. But I can hold my breath and I can do a series of breath exercises because it gives me something to do that will provide me with that same level of mental clarity. And then I can take that and then push myself to see where I can execute. Like ice bath's great. I do a hyperventilation routine. I do a breath hold routine. I get, oxidized. I get a little lightheaded. I hit my breath hold. Boom. I can get into the ice bath. I can do 15 minutes easy. And I'm actually doing this with some of my friends. Like, a lot of people reach out to me and they're like, dude, how are you doing 10 to 15 minutes in the ice bath? I'm like, come over. I'll show you.
Oh, heck no.
Come on over, buddy. I will show you. But what I'm trying to do as well, man, is just relate that. Like, so when I do that with the, the freediving stuff, the breath hold stuff, the ice bath stuff, and I relate it to boxing, I'm like, okay, how do I relate this to business? And to our earlier conversation about the verbal jujitsu, when I meet someone else who's also a driver with a disagreeable personality, it's like, that's my opportunity to take a big breath, which is great because I'm not talking, which means I might be listening, and not be as combative in that engagement. And for someone like me and I don't know if you see this in business, man, but I see it all day. I see people allowing their emotions, and I see it in them. I acknowledge the failure in them because I acknowledge the failure in myself, but I see them getting emotional about logical decisions. And I see them allowing their pride and ego to be in the game when that is not helping them at all. And I acknowledge it in them because I acknowledge it in myself.
Well, I see that too, and I see it in myself also. And I think that's like the 80 to 90% of people and decisions are come from that.
Well, and I see these guys, man. I see them with they've got all the money and they got the team, they got the this and they got the that. But like every time I talk to them, they're frantic. They don't have enough time. And it's just like, what's the point?
It's like a prison.
Yeah, dude. It's like, you're trying to accumulate money so you have freedom. But if you don't have freedom over your own thought, your own selfishness, your own pride and ego, I mean, that's like, fuck that. At that point, I'm like, I need God to help me.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
I've been thinking that the whole time you've been talking.
I need God to step in.
That's where I find all those things, like the meditation aspect. I do meditate sometimes and I pray. I've never done breath work, but I've ran, but where I get like my biggest peace is when I pray mainly. Yeah.
Nice.
And also like when you mentioned the part about like the money aspect, Yeah, man, I've thought about that many times. Like, what's more important? You know, where are my priorities? What's number one?
And you know what I've noticed, man, is like the people who have what I want have some sort of faith. And that has always been the truth, dude. This was like, it was true when I was getting sober. It's true later in life as I'm trying to be better in business. The people that have what I want have faith of some sort. And I have the luxury of not being like pigeonholed in one specific religion, but I can take pieces and I can heed the advice of people that I respect. And I can, my girl's Christian. So I'm like, let's go to church. Let's hang out with these friends. But I also pick the ones that are like punk rock and aren't going to like push it on me, but they lead by example. Those are the people that I'm attracted to. Do not push your shit on me, bro. It's not going to work. But if you lead by example and you show me and I can see you execute on a life of hard work, discipline, love, integrity, family, pillar of the community, XYZ, then you're definitely going to attract my attention, and I'm going to ask you questions because I admire that.
You know, like you bringing that up reminds me. We just talked about, we had a Bible study every Wednesday. I know you've been.
I'm down to go.
And it's my bad. I should have been inviting you. Like, hey,
I'll tell you what.
Let's roll up, dude.
I'll go to Bible study if you will let me train you to do 5 minutes in the ice bath.
I'm down for that.
Hell yeah.
I'm down for that.
Air fist bump, dude. I'll train you and you will execute on 5 minutes.
No, for sure. I've never thought I'd do that, but I'm down. But I was going to say that.
I never thought I would go to Bible study, bro. Me? Yeah. Kidding me? Punk rock, middle finger, Greg at Bible study? Come on. Yeah. You're not allowed to curse at that thing? Am I allowed?
No, you're allowed to, actually.
Because the first time I heard fuck and God in the same sentence, I was like, I can get with that.
I mean, we try not to, but it happens. You know, it's a room full of guys. What'd you expect?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A room full of dudes. There's no chicks, which...
Yeah, I like that. Because there's no posturing. Nobody's saying stuff to be heard. They're saying stuff because that's what they need to say.
It's different.
It's very different.
It's different.
Yeah. Well, and I think it relates to... And this is one of the things that I learned in like studying all the literature about masculinity. It's like... As men, we get our masculinity from other men. We do not get it from women. We do not get it from how many women we sleep with. We do not get it from our body count. We do not get it from our bank account. Men get their masculinity from other men that they respect, that hold them accountable to the things that they say, do, and execute upon. And I saw that, I didn't get the luxury of playing team sports or like at a high level, but I saw that when I got into fishing with guys. Like, if you don't pull your weight and you don't come correct and you don't be part of the team, you're not invited. That's it. So you got to level up, whether it's your diving, your boatmanship, your communication, how you show up and bring value. You know what I mean? Like I learned this from boating. When you show up early and you stay late to help and you pay for gas and you're down to cut fish and you lead with value first, people invite you.
Love it.
But if you show up late and start asking for stuff,
right.
And I'm sure, and I'm curious to know with you, like, where do you try to lead with your faith, both in the community and then in business?
Where do I try to lead in faith in the community and
because you have your faith within your your people that have those same beliefs, but you have to take that faith out into the world, out into the marketplace.
I see what you mean, and it goes kind of back to what I was trying to hit on earlier is the way we just talked about it in Bible study this morning. The way to bring people to faith is not to invite them to church; it's to invite them into your life. Be my friend.
100.
And
a lot of people don't a lot of people don't know that, dude. They want to stand on the soapbox or this, that, and the other thing. And it's like,
with the megaphone,
show me.
Right. And that's why, like, you're saying, like, hey, where are you in the community? Where are you in here? What I do is I just say, hey, man, just hang out with me. Let's hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome to my life. Welcome to being around me. And
It's interesting, man,
starts there.
because when I see people who have good faith in business, they're the people that don't get frazzled by the bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, they know they have that. I am attracted to a quiet confidence. I mean, I like brash confidence too, but like that. And you see, like, one of my good buddies, honestly, one of my good buddies, he was one of my buddies in fishing. He was one of my buddies that he was one of the guys we were talking about last time that challenged me on my political beliefs by asking questions. No ad hominem, no attacks, just like asking me questions. And I'm like, shit, I don't have like educated answers for these. Mm-hmm. And it would frustrate me. And then I would go do research and then I would come back and then we'd talk about it. But he wasn't like, you're wrong, you're this, you're that. He would just talk to me. Like, me, you and I are like, we would just discuss stuff.
Right.
Oh, you believe this? Okay, tell me why. Why do you believe that? Do you actually believe that? Or do you believe that because you saw that on the news? Or because your parents told you? Mm-hmm. Or because someone at work told you? Or right. What do you believe?
Right.
And then it's like that Socratic reasoning, like a series of questions makes you realize, like, oh, what do I believe? Mm-hmm. He was one of the ones that like attracted me to studying faith more, and like, I want to go to church with you just because I want to hang out with you. Mm-hmm. Literally. Right. That's what I told him. Yeah. And I just like seeing the modeling of a good example of the man that I want to emulate.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you on all aspects that you're
But
mentioning.
You better do what the fuck you say you're talking about.
That's true.
That's where because
it goes back to the leader or the authority gets held to the highest standard. Mm-hmm. If you're going to put yourself out there as the authority in this situation, you're going to be held to a higher standard and you're going to be punished if that comes down to that at a more severe punishment. That's just what it breaks down to.
Well, and I had to... It's interesting, man, because I never was like I believe in counter-opposing forces. And I do believe in God. But I was never like... I never really believed in like the evil or the devil or the this or the that. But Andrew Tate said it best. I do believe in this, and I do believe there's always a counter-opposing force. Mm-hmm. Therefore, there's got to be something. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting, I was talking about it with a buddy that I know from real estate, where you see that come up in people. And to me, it's just like, I'm not as like literal about the devil, but I'm just like, I see it come up in people's character defects and their inability to acknowledge them and work on their shit. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I've never been, a lot of the stigma around religion just rubs me the wrong way, but I had a good buddy that told me, the definition of sinning is when an arrow falls short of the target. And I like shooting arrows. So I was like, oh, I could get with that word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's stigma around words.
Right.
And words matter.
Yeah.
Intention matters. Intonation matters. The context in which words are used matter. And what the word says in the definition does matter. Despite the woke culture about reassigning the value of words, it's like, I mean, now the woke culture's got Webster's like changing what the word says in the dictionary. Dude. I got to take a quickly double check my phone since you hit the break.
Oh, yeah, dude. No, dude. Let's...
12:30. We're at 1:30.
We're at 1:30, man. You want to call it?
Yep.
Then?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it, man.